So, hi, I'm Emma Pereira, and my pronouns are she and her.
I'm close to Jero, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hi, I'm Cheyenne Sprecher, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
And today we're going to be talking about white feminism. Now, why does white feminism exist, and what is white feminism, I guess? Well, white feminism is basically separating feminism, like having it only be for white women and only fighting for rights for white women. And I think this exists because of colonialism, and this colonialism ultimately led to racism. And actually, according to Sandy Grande, and I quote, indeed, the colonialist project could have not flourished without the active participation of white women. Grande 180. And this just shows that, like, these white women helped fuel the racism, and they didn't always have the backs of their, the Black women or Latino women. Would you guys like to add anything?
I agree with that. I also feel like in Audre Lorde's "The Master's Tools Will Not Dismantle the House," she has a quote that says, "The failure of academic feminists to recognize the difference as a crucial strength is a failure to reach beyond the first patriarchal lesson." I feel like also talking about how white feminism has a lot to do with the patriarchy, and a lot of the same values that the patriarchy instills are found in white feminism as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. And similar to what we wrote for the discussion, I think that a lot of this evolved from the colonialism, like Emma said, but also as the white women did not really think about the indigenous women's culture. And as they were describing it, I think it was from Grande's book or the reading that we did, it says that all the history books that were written and like the history that we know of now was kind of revolving around the colonizers' perception of what took place and not the indigenous women's per se. So I thought that was really interesting to read about in the article.
I agree with Cheyenne and Callista. I also think part of it is due to a power struggle because of the patriarchy. Basically, these white women are trying to fight for their own rights, but I think how Black women, they don't have as many rights. It makes them feel like they are more powerful than someone. Like maybe they can't be more powerful than men, but they can be more powerful than Black women or Indigenous women.
Yeah, I definitely agree that there's in white feminism they believe there's a hierarchy of who's more important, and that's just not what feminism should be about.
No, I definitely agree, because a lot of the stuff that we read about was just that the indigenous women were definitely like compared to the white women, and the white women had like power over them, which ultimately like it also was with like the men versus the men too, because all the stereotypical like stuff that was written was all either by men or by women that were white, so it did not give like an exact like description of like what they actually went through. So
I also think that a lot of what like the Combahee River Collective Statement, which was a group of Black feminists, they talk about, one of their quotes is on page 16. They say, the Black feminist presence has evolved most obviously in the connection with the second wave Americans women's movement beginning in the late 1960s. Black, other third world, and working women have been involved in the feminist movement from its start, but both outside reactionary forces and racism and elitism within the movement itself have served to obscure their participation. So people, like individuals who face intersectionality, are being written out of the feminist movement. And it's really, and like these statements and these articles that we're reading this week really make sure that we read about it, we're aware of it, and we are aware that white feminism is a huge issue.
Definitely. And now that we've covered exactly really what white feminism is, I'd like to move on to more current events, which is the Black Lives Matter movement, which has been very prominent during 2020 and now. And this movement, basically, part of it takes place because of the systemic injustice of our society and how our government is set up and how it unfairly treats Black men and women. So what do you guys think?
There have been many white feminists who have protested during the Black Lives Matter movement and used their voice to assist in the movement, but they don't truly understand like what it's like to be a person of color and to be in their shoes. So it, in a sense, almost takes the place of the other stories and voices that do need to be heard, which I think is really important and connects to this module specifically.
Yeah, I remember over social media over the summer, when the protests were going on for the Black Lives Matter movement, there was a post for blackout. I think the hashtag was Blackout Tuesday, and everybody would post like a black square on their Instagram, and it was distracting. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of posts about how it was distracting from stories that needed to be told and more like voices that needed to be heard, and so it was highly discouraged. And I think that has a lot to do with what you were talking about, the idea that you're disrupting a movement, but you're being helpful, but it's also kind of distracting from stories and voices.
Yeah, I agree with you. They also started the hashtag All Lives Matter, and I really personally did not like that hashtag because I feel like it really took away from hashtag Black Lives Matter, and like Black Lives Matter was meant to highlight Black lives. Like obviously all lives matter, but Black lives are the ones that need the help right now and really need to have the spotlight and have their stories told. And when people say, oh, all lives matter, that is just taking away their voice and telling them kind of like, you know, you don't get to have a voice, you don't deserve it, which is not cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and actually in 2018, there was the murder of Nia Wilson, and the Black feminists were calling on the white feminists for help, and they actually saw it as more of an attack than a call for help, which is really interesting. And actually, I had not heard about Nia Wilson until like doing a little research. So these stories like Nia Wilson need to be heard more. But thank you guys for listening to our conversation, and have a nice night.